What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video from the 10-7 MMA channel. Today's video is, again, about Conor McGregor. I actually made a video not too long ago, just a few days ago, about Conor, footage emerging of him training in Ibiza, or Ibiza, as it's called locally. Now, I was actually optimistic and excited about the release of this footage because he was doing some pretty aggressive, like, hill sprints. So I thought maybe he's trying to get back into shape. Maybe he's even training. I was praying, hoping to the MMA gods that maybe he's going to come back one more time. For those of you guys who are like, why do you care about Conor anymore? You're such a casual, whatever. It all ties back into what's going on this year with the streaming deal, potentially with Netflix. And I thought Conor would be an amazing blockbuster fight, one return to get crazy streaming numbers to rival or, in fact, beat the Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul numbers, the concurrent streams of like 70 million, which ended up being a horrible fight. This would actually be a real fight, even though he's a little bit older, about to be 37, but still would have been a blockbuster event and a huge win for the UFC and for MMA fans in general. But if you remember, the title or the thumbnail on the video was Ibiza or Ibiza question mark, because I've been to Ibiza 3 times. I know what happens there. It's not a place to go if you have an issue with, let's say, substances or partying or both, or, you know, all these other things that Conor seems to have issues with. And that was the whole thing of the video. Is it was great that he's training, but why would you ever want to go to Ibiza unless you're up to no good, essentially, was my main conclusion. Well, days after I made that video, check out that video if you haven't seen it yet, because I feel like I essentially called this from a mile away. But days after this whole thing went down, we see the footage emerge of the nightclub altercation. Now, if you haven't seen the footage, I highly doubt that's the case. But if you haven't, I'm going to show footage of it later on in this video. It's part of a full mount video that will be featured in this presentation. But now that it's everywhere, Jesse on Fire did an interview with somebody inside Conor's circle or part of Conor's team. I'm not sure exactly who it is, but this is Conor's friend or associate or whatnot who did an interview with Jesse on Fire, and he explained a completely different perspective. And that's really what this video is about, is what was really going on, because we're starting to get bits and pieces of what's happening. And this gets to a larger point, because I thought maybe I was hoping there was some truth to what Conor's associate or friend or inner circle member was saying about the incident. But as more information is coming out, plus if you look back at things that have happened in the past, I just don't think the story adds up. But this, I believe, is part of the bigger problem, that Conor is surrounding himself, I think, potentially, with people that are doing this, that are making up excuses for him, that are coming to his defense, that are trying to smooth things over for him on his behalf in the eyes of the public, when the reality is otherwise. The reality is that it seems to be that he clearly was in the wrong, because there's a lot of things that his friend says that I think have subsequently shown to be false in the days after this interview was posted. So anyways, people have been saying from the outside that maybe, hey, he doesn't have the right people around him. He has yes men around him that aren't trying to curb his behavior or stop him from getting out of control. And this is another indication that perhaps is what's happening. So we're going to listen to this, a little excerpt from this interview. I'm going to break down what the inconsistencies are shown from footage that was released, I think today, maybe, from Full Mount MMA. Check this out.
From Spain. The guy that he hit was actually from Dublin. Now, if you know what these people in Dublin are like, they either love Conor or they hate Conor. This guy...
So remember that. He's saying the guy that was allegedly like squaring up to him or whatever that Conor hit was from Dublin. So check that out.
Obviously hated Conor. Now, what you saw in the video was Conor just smacking him. You didn't see what the lead up to that was. This guy had been approaching Conor throughout the night numerous times. And when I say approaching him, squaring up to him, mouthing off, talking shit, Conor was just laughing it off. I've been with Conor on many occasions, and I've seen what he's like with his fans. He's awesome to those guys. He'll take 1 million photos. He'll sign 1 million autographs. Conor's really gracious when it comes to his fan base. This guy had obviously had a few drinks. Now, mind you, this was 5:30 in the morning, probably coming to the end of the night, where Conor had a few drinks with his boys, as they can and as they should. What happened is, previous to that video, as they started filming, and you can't actually quite see it because it's a little bit dark and the guy's hands are hidden, you can see he walks up to Conor with his face down like that, looking very aggressive. And then what had happened was he flinched at Conor with a bottle, meaning he went like this, like he was going to hit Conor or smash the bottle in Conor's face. Conor reacted out of pure reaction and self-defense, and bang, cracked the guy. Didn't knock him out. He could have if he wanted to. He just gave him two how you goings right in the face, and then the guy was taken away.
All right. So let's break down a couple of things. So number one, remember that he said he's from Dublin, because I actually think that's the first thing that's easily disproved as subsequent news came out after the fact. I don't think we'll ever be able to verify with video evidence whether or not he actually had a bottle in his hand, but I just don't believe that once you see the other next video that I'm going to play. But I remember looking at this interview and watching this guy for the first time, and I don't know who he is. I don't know what his role is in Conor's team or what he does professionally, but I remember thinking it just didn't seem to add up. It just didn't make sense. So think about the first thing that he said, that this guy was egging him on, talking smack, mouthing off to him, and Conor was just laughing it off. I mean, dude, I don't know Conor personally, but I feel like we've gotten to know him somewhat through the media. And I mean, you just answer for yourself. Do you think Conor would just be sitting there if the guy was mouthing off to him and going up and squaring up to him? I'm not saying he would have just hit anybody who mouths off to him, but what I'm saying is he probably would have had him removed, or would have immediately talked to the owner or whoever his security team was and had that guy kept far, far away, or his friends would have told the guy to get kicked out. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Now, do I believe that he's awesome to his fans? Absolutely. I bet you he's great with his fans. I've seen him have some interactions. I'm sure when he's in a normal state of mind that he's great. But he has that switch trigger, it appears to be. And this will be verified in a later video that I'm going to show you down the line. But anyway, so that was his account. I remember it feeling it just didn't add up. It didn't make sense as he was telling that entire story. Just the way that he's talking. Again, this is really just my very basic body language interpretation. I'm not an expert by any means, but that was the feeling I got. You tell me if you agree or disagree. By the way, the other thing I wanted to say is he's like, yeah, he's out there cutting loose, having drinks with his friends, as he should, as is his right. I don't know. To me, it just, from everything that's happened, I would not say that that would be all good to be like partying at a club at 5:30 in the morning, given everything that he's got going on. But I don't know his personal life, and maybe he's got things under control now and he was just cutting loose and he was working on a million things, and maybe he's still in very good spirits and health and whatnot. But it just like the whole thing again goes back to this idea of who are the people that are really around him and what are they doing? Are they actually standing up to him? Can they even? Maybe they can't, because maybe if they do, he lets them go. I don't know. But this is that account. So I listened to this. I'm like, man. And he also says, too, he's like, man, everybody's so quick to jump on Conor. Now, that I understand. He's so uber famous that I don't think we can fully grasp what it's like to be him. Everybody always trying to get $1 out of him, sue him, use him, manipulate him. That I all understand for sure. But the way that it's portrayed and painted by this gentleman's narrative, just a lot of it didn't add up, and it felt like it was almost a little bit performative. That's my 2 cents. Now we're going to move on to the next clip. So this is a gentleman named Wayne Lineker, and this was from Full Mount MMA. Massive props for the investigation that they did or how they pulled this information. But this is also going to be a clip that goes through. You can see, again, the altercation. Now, you can't see the guy's hand. Maybe that's why the previous gentleman was saying he had a bottle, because you can't verify from the video footage. So why not say it, since it can't be disproven, at least with video evidence? But you'll see the altercation, and then you're going to see this gentleman, Wayne Lineker. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about him in the next slide. But his story, anyways, his testimony seems to completely conflict with what that other gentleman was saying. And I tend to believe this account of things just makes more sense. Check this out.
New details have emerged regarding Conor McGregor's recent altercation at a nightclub in Ibiza earlier this week. For those who missed it, The Sun released footage showing McGregor inside.
Again, you see that. I don't see any flinch. Now, granted, it's a little bit far away, but that doesn't make any sense to me that he's saying he flinched or went at Conor, making Conor think that he was going to get hit. This whole self-defense claim, I don't know. It doesn't seem legit. Now, the club probably has tons of security footage, so maybe more footage will emerge eventually, but this is all we see so far.
At the club, where he appeared to sucker punch a man twice without any clear provocation. An Ibiza-based entrepreneur, Wayne Lineker, who was present at the time, has since offered some insight into what went down. Lineker identified the man McGregor struck as Joe Gomez, a former employee of his at another nightclub. He claims Gomez did absolutely nothing to provoke the attack and was hit for no reason. In a now deleted Instagram post, Lineker said, "Gomez is my very close friend who has worked at Ocean for 8 years. He has the most special heart, and in all of the years that I've known him, he has never raised his voice once. He took 2 punches from Conor McGregor and Pacha for absolutely no reason. He took the punches like a champion. To say I'm disappointed is an understatement. One of Joe Gomez's friends gave a statement, who was also in the nightclub during this incident. He says as of right now, Gomez has not mentioned that he will be pressing charges. He said he has worked with Wayne for a long time, and Wayne is very loyal to his staff. Conor had a great deal at Ocean. He got a table and drinks for free. Now that benefit may well be taken away. If you were around Conor in the club and you took your phone out, you'd be told to put it away. I don't know how Joe got that close to begin with. Joe's not said anything about pressing charges or making a formal complaint to the police. He had some time off booked after the incident anyway, but Wayne has been very good at handling it. Joe's fine and there was no injury from the punches. It was obviously a shock, and he feels he was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
So there are 2 accounts, one from Wayne Lineker, and the other guy, I guess Joe Gomez is the guy. I get confused as I was going back and forth with Joe and Wayne. But anyways, that was his friend, again, corroborating this notion that, first of all, this guy had worked at that nightclub Ocean, or I heard somebody else say it was Pacha, which I've been to Pacha or Pacha. I believe the locals call it Pacha, but I don't know this other place, Ocean. It must be newer since the last time I went. Whatever. Anyways, but this guy was apparently an employee there for 8 years. So he's not like some random dude from Dublin. I don't know where they came up with that from. And maybe he's still Irish, but an employee there. Anyways, it seems we now have 2 accounts that are clearly in stark contrast with this other guy's account. And these accounts tend to make more sense. Now, let's just talk a little bit more about Wayne Lineker, because I think it makes more sense in light of the fact that he's just not some random guy. Wayne Lineker, according to AI overview, thank you, AI. Wayne Lineker is a prominent figure in the hospitality and entertainment industry, best known for founding and owning the popular Ibiza beach club, O Beach. Again, I haven't been there either. I haven't been there since 2009, so maybe a lot of these places are new. He has several other businesses, including Bambuku, I don't know what that is, Lineker's Bars, I don't know what that is, Wiki Woo Hotel. Yeah, I don't know any of these places. Maybe they're newer, or maybe I just never went to them. Additionally, he has ventured into the hotel business with Bonito Ibiza by O Beach, located near his beach club. So this is a legit business owner. It sounds like he's got many clubs and many ventures in Ibiza. So I feel like somebody in this position is not going to speak lightly. They're not going to speak out of turn when they don't know the full story. So again, this lends way more credibility to me than somebody who's clearly either on Conor's payroll or part of his friend group or whatever, on top of the other inconsistencies. Plus, it just felt weird. It just felt inauthentic. Now, to further bolster this claim, if you guys remember, hold on, I'm going to restart this one. If you guys remember, not too long ago, I think about 3 years ago, and we're going to come to this bar punch in a second, but if you guys remember, not too long ago, 3 years ago in Italy, Conor had a very similar outburst against, it was directed towards this guy, Francesco. I think he's like a DJ and a nightclub owner and all this stuff. They call him a DJ. I think he used to be a DJ. But listen to his story. Listen to him recount what happened to him. It sounds exactly like what happened here. So again, it seems to add up that sometimes something happens in Conor's brain and he strikes without reason. Okay, so check this out if you guys forgot.
In that moment, his brain completely, switched, turned off. I was a DJ when I was young, and I worked in the nightclub for 20 years. I was owner of a lot of nightclub, and I saw that type of stuff when your brain turned off immediately in 1 second. And he punched me in my face. It's like that, okay? We are speaking, imagine if you are in front of me and you speak with me for 2 hours and chilling and smiling, and I punch you after 2 hours, out of the blue.
I mean, I think it's very similar circumstances. That's what it looks like on camera. That's what happened to this guy years ago. I think he even sued Conor. And another thing that the guy says in the first account on Jesse on Fire's channel, he's like, yeah, this happens all the time. People get assaulted in other countries because Otherwise, they get sued in America, but there's no suing in other countries. I was like, how is there no suing and civil liability in other countries? Like, that didn't make any sense. Of course, maybe it's not as easy, or I don't know. But of course, if somebody's damaged you or injured you, yeah, maybe it's just not as common as well. I don't know. But anyways, this sounds exactly like what we just witnessed on camera. That there's something wrong, that boop, switch goes off and he just reacts. And I made a video like a while ago about Conor as well, where Joe Rogan was talking about this phenomenon with CTE in particular. As the brain starts to degenerate from CTE, we see these almost like hair-triggered tempers develop. This happens with football players, with professional fighters, etc. And then we see the aftermath when it's almost like they can't even control their emotions or their anger or their physical strength anymore. And it seems to be another instance maybe of that. Maybe that's what explains this outburst. But anyways, very crazy. And then again, if we remember what happened at the bar punch, I can't actually play this video because it is age restricted. So instead I grabbed a couple screen grabs, but just to retell the story, you can watch it on YouTube yourself. But here's Conor coming in. This is the beginning of the altercation. It's with this guy right here. And Conor is offering him a glass and he doesn't accept it. He rejects it. And then he actually puts it at the bar. Conor puts another glass in front of him. He moves it again. Then Conor takes the remaining glasses there, and you can see he's pouring his whiskey into it. And then the guy is, I don't know, they actually are exchanging some words. I'm sure it's not pleasantries, but he's saying something, whatever. And Conor's like doing like this. It looks like almost like dancing in his face, taunting him, or maybe he's pointing at him. I can't tell. And then all of a sudden he just, boom, he does a lead left jab, and he's left-handed, by the way. It's his dominant hand. Boom, pops him. And then right after that, he's carried out by all these guys. They just drag him out. And I don't even know if they said anything to the gentleman, but, it's happened multiple times that we know of that has been caught on camera. So if it's happened this many times on camera, and probably how careful they are in terms of protecting him from being filmed and whatnot, what are the odds that it's happened 10 times, 20 times? I don't know. And he's been famous for so long and been in this position for so long that, yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if it could be multiples of that. That's speculation. So take that with a grain of salt. But anyways, I just wanted to share with you guys this account, food for thought. Maybe the public does have it all wrong. That's what I thought when I first saw the Jesse on Fire interview. I was like, let me be really open-minded here, because this is a guy who's under tremendous pressure, with tremendous eyeballs on him. All of this money, all of this fame, all of these different things that are going on that we can't even begin to understand a fragment of what it's like to be Conor McGregor every day. So maybe people are getting it wrong to some extent, or to a large extent. We have to bear that possibility in mind when we talk about Conor and this entire situation. That being said, I think with the contradictions between his friend's story and what has now emerged with the history of Conor McGregor that has been documented, I think it's pretty clear that, it's not what his buddy said. I don't think that's how it went down. This looks like a clear case of something, again, shutting off in his brain, like DJ Francesco says, and Conor just, boom, lashing out, reacting without thinking, and it is what it is. So anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I don't even want to talk about at this point what this means to his potential return to the UFC, because this is just so bananas and bizarre. And yeah, it's crazy times to be an MMA fan, I suppose. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thank you guys so much for joining, and we will see you in the next video. Take it easy.